I love Peterson Crusoe. I don't know if I'd say this is one of my all time favourite Cheers episodes, but it's absolutely one where I adored pretty much every second of it. This is the 11th episode of the third season, directed, of course, by the brilliant James Burrows. And there are two main stories. The main story, of course, focuses on Norm, the subplot, which gets a little less attention. I wouldn't say they're equally weighted, but it still gets a decent amount of screen time, focuses on Carla and Diane. And it actually starts off with the opening scene with Diane and Carla making a bet. And I will explain what happens with this and, of course, with Norm. So there will be spoilers from this point on as I talk about various things that I really thoroughly enjoyed. So big spoilers from now. The bet Carla and Diane makes is to see who can get the most tips within a certain time period. And Coach is adjudicating this. And it's really good fun. I think they could have maybe made it last a little bit longer. It doesn't bother me too much that they concluded the bet earlier on in the episode because it wasn't finished. Even once the bet was won by, well, Diane, Carla was in a mood for the rest of the episode, and the way that played out was good, and I did enjoy it. But I do think the suspense could have been kept for just a tiny bit longer. But nevertheless, I did enjoy that part of the episode and had quite good fun with it. The main part, or the other main part of the episode, focuses on Norm. Now, it's no secret that Norm is my joint favourite character, joined with Rebecca, but absolutely my favourite character for, well, until Rebecca comes into it. And anything that focuses on Norm is generally a winner with me, so I was always going to enjoy this. But I think it has a lot of great things going for it. However, it's not the happiest start. Norm walks in and he does get his usual Norm greeting, but it's not quite as upbeat because he walks in and after about a minute he slumps to the floor, and it turns out he had a physical at his new job and they found something on the chest x-ray, and that's awful. And it's kind of hard to watch to begin with because, as I said, I love Norm. I don't want to think of anything bad happening to him. And of course, we learn very quickly, and the pacing there is perfect. I'm glad they didn't drag it out for too long. We learn quickly it was fine. It was an error, or just a dot that didn't indicate anything with his health. And suddenly he has this new lease of life. And one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing, or beginnings of a scene, is when Norm walks into the bar again later on, and he has this teeny tiny bird on his finger, and it's just the most beautiful thing ever. And yeah, he's got this new lease of life in him, and he's decided he's going to move to Bora Bora, which, credit where it's due. He's got this dream, and he's decided life is for living. You never know when your time is up. Just go for it. And the episode does address that. There is a speech or a series of speeches about dreams that I really love, but I'll circle back to that when I get to it chronologically. And off Norm goes to Bora Bora, apparently. And the letter he sends, I think, was a really lovely touch. He sends the gang at Cheers a letter saying what it's like at Bora Bora. It's very well written and very well delivered as well, particularly Sam putting in the ha-has, which I thought was very effective. And it's definitely a good way to throw us off the scent. We do learn, however, a few minutes later, in this delightful scene when Sam is in his office and Norm comes out of the back of his office and we learn that he chickened out. And I kind of like the fact that the episode is saying it's good to have dreams, but sometimes those dreams can be scary and fear can stop us from living those dreams, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. And I think Norm had a very reasonable response. He'd gone through a lot of emotions in a very short space of time, and of course, moving to Bora Bora and building a hut was going to be a tremendous task. And I don't blame him for 1 second for not going through with it. But it's also understandable that he didn't want to face everybody else and admit that he'd chickened out, because if you go on and on about doing this and you're going to have an amazing time and this is your new way of life and then you don't do it, you're going to look like a bit of an idiot because you went on about it so much. But again, it's completely understandable. And the speeches that I was talking about before, are just so wonderful when Norm locks himself in Sam's office and everybody's talking about dreams they had and dreams they were not able to fulfill, except Coach, who declared that it's no wonder he's such a happy guy, which was so sweet. And I love that. It's one of the things I love about Coach. He's usually always really positive and upbeat and happy, largely because he's oblivious to things that are happening. But apart from a few occasions, Coach is generally a great source of positivity. And that is something I love about him. But everybody else had stories about dreams that they let go, dreams they were not able to fulfill. And I think it's reassuring as a viewer to know that actually many, many, many people, I'd say most people, have dreams that they can't achieve because either their dreams are unattainable or because they just no longer want that. Dreams do change, and it's reassuring to know that if you're in that situation as well, whether it's something as extravagant as moving to Bora Bora or something, well, is giving up a childhood dream like Diane's and dancing, then yeah, it's nice to know, as is always the case with Cheers, that we're not alone. It's a beautiful episode. It's fun. It's funny. I love Norm. The story with Diane and Carla was brilliant. Yeah, I wish they'd played it out a little bit longer before we found out who won. But as I said, I'm not too bothered about that because they did continue the story a little bit. We did get a bit more about it after the fact. So that's not too bad. Ultimately, I love Peterson Crusoe. As I said at the beginning, I don't think it would be an all-time favorite if I were to rank my favorite 10 episodes. I don't know which they'd be off the top of my head. It probably wouldn't make that list, but either way, it's fabulous. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. Always going to be happy to watch it.